That's what they get paid for. They're there for the people. They're not there for themselves. I'd also like to acknowledge Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark. Darcel, thank you for your partnership. I think she's here. New York City Special Narcotics Prosecutor Bridget Brennan. Bridget, thank you. City Council members Donovan Richards and Vanessa Gibson. Hopefully they're here. All right. So Donovan, I'm going to make a statement here right now, and I know it's true. Thank you for being you and Vanessa for being strong supporters of the NYPD, and thank you for being here. Can we give them another round of applause? And that has nothing to do with the fact that the preliminary budget hearings are coming up in March. Maybe a little bit. New York's crime reductions are due to the hard work of every member of the NYPD and all of our partners. And these are just some of the leaders who have the vision and ability to help make and keep New York City the safest big city in the United States through an effective and constitutional criminal justice system. While I'm naming some names here, I want to point out a special member of our NYPD team who has done tremendous work in her time with us. Susan Herman, our Deputy Commissioner for Collaborative Policing, will leave us less than 2 weeks from now to become a senior advisor to Mayor Bill de Blasio. She'll be managing the Office of Thrive NYC and overseeing the continued integration of Thrive's mental health programs throughout city agencies. Susan has dedicated her career at the NYPD to bringing people together from different backgrounds to achieve a common purpose. In fact, Susan and her staff developed a booklet each of you received when you walked in here this morning, which details the 101 ways the NYPD has improved our response to victims of crimes over the past few years. I can think of no better person to now spearhead Thrive NYC's urgent mission. So I want to say congratulations and thank you, Susan Herman. Give her a round of applause, please. Importantly, I want to also speak about our members who have made the ultimate sacrifice on behalf of New Yorkers. All were killed while doing, or in the aftermath of doing, residents is among the lowest in the nation. In fact, there are 182 American cities with higher murder rates than New York City. Also in 2018, we recorded the lowest number of shootings in New York City's modern history for the third year in a row. Over the last year, we did see a substantial increase in reported rapes. In the NYPD, our belief, shared by the survivors' advocates with whom we regularly meet, is that rape has been and continues to be our #1 unreported crime. In fact, about a quarter of the rapes reported in 2018 took place prior to 2018. This historic underreporting is beginning to be addressed in a substantial and vitally important way. As you know, last year we did a complete overhaul of our entire Special Victims Division, now led by Deputy Chief Judith Harrison. She's in attendance. Judith, can you just stand up, please? I don't believe I called you Judith. It's Judy, right? Guess what? Okay. Touché. We're renovating facilities, getting more highly trained personnel, and fine-tuning our response to survivors of these horrific crimes to make sure we provide every service and every comfort they need, including placing victim advocates inside every police station throughout the city. And our special victims detectives are working to fully investigate both past and current year sex assaults with a thoroughness and sensitivity that provides all survivors with empathy, closure, and justice. The NYPD will never rest in our determination to drive down the crime of rape, one of the most heinous of all crimes. And we therefore will never stop looking for ways to innovate and improve our practices in this area. (2018) was also a major milestone in another way. 5 years ago, the NYPD charted a course toward furthering the steady crime declines we saw in the previous 2 decades. We deliberately pivoted away from a largely enforcement-driven approach toward a more precise and targeted paradigm. The core of the plan was and continues to be our neighborhood policing philosophy, a total shift in the NYPD's crime-fighting model that puts our members in closer connection with people all across the city. And police officers are using their great capacities of heart and mind to solve problems where possible without enforcement actions. Our cops now regularly work the same shifts in the same sectors. They're getting to know their neighborhoods, their community residents, their local problems, and their local criminals. They're getting the time and latitude to work at solving local crime and quality of life concerns. And the result is a more flexible, more responsive, more measured, and more effective police presence. Investigations are also more focused, with patrol cops playing an expanded role in gathering evidence and information, and precinct detective squads working in closer coordination with specialty squads like gang and narco to bring in more and better cases against violent criminals. And because we involve our prosecutors from the outset, we're able to pre-indict many offenders before they're arrested, charge them appropriately, and see their cases through to meaningful prison sentences. We also support our new approach with major improvements in training and technology, all implemented in the past 5 years. Perhaps most importantly, we decentralized and democratized technology and data access in the department, equipping all officers with smartphones that connect them to databases, to the public, and to each other. We have gone from cops who didn't have email addresses, believe it or not, or any other way than face-to-face or police radio to communicate in the field, to officers who now have instant access to a wide range of information and functionalities, and who regularly share their cell numbers and email addresses with local residents and businesses. I like the applause. Gives me a chance to take a drink of water. Keep that up. Thank you. Thank you, Tony. You're the best. The short-term results are in, and unlike a lot of five-year plans in world history, ours actually worked. You're supposed to laugh. That's the only joke we wrote into this. Where's Monahan? Another joke that didn't work. All right. Neighborhood policing has pushed both crime and enforcement down substantially. Overall crime declined by 14.2%, and murders by 11.9%. Shooting incidents are down 31%. Compared to the five-year period prior to this last 5 years, the average for murders now is 30% lower, and the average for shootings is 29% lower. We're not just achieving massive declines in violence with our intensified and focused investigations of gangs, we're sustaining those declines over the longer term. In CompStat, we've developed a method of identifying patterns and countering them quickly. This is literally dismantling the infrastructure driving traditional crime categories. Robbery down 32.6% in 5 years, burglary down 33.3%, auto theft down 26.4%. This may be hard to believe, but maybe not if you've been in New York City for any part of time. But there was more than 140,000 auto thefts in New York City in 1990. Last year, there were just over 5,000. On the enforcement side, street stops are down more than 90% over the past 5 years, even as we improve monitoring and supervision to make sure that all stops are being reported by the officers who find them necessary to make. Overall arrests are down 37.3%, and summonses are down nearly 79%. Marijuana misdemeanor and violation arrests are down 71%. As we believed we could in 2014, we've shown that we can drive crime down significantly with a far less intrusive enforcement profile. While arrests and summonses for quality of life violations and minor crimes are down, felony arrests for rape, assault, grand larceny, and burglary are all up. And while many misdemeanor arrest categories have fallen steeply, Detective Bureau arrests are up nearly 20% in the last 5 years. Detective arrests are based on exhaustive investigations that specifically direct our enforcement efforts, with the laser-like focus on the serious crimes and all the serious offenders, who are a small percentage of the population of this great city. It can also be said that 2018 was a milestone in the NYPD's historic 25-year crime-fighting period. The murder rate is 1/10 of what it once was. Total crime has been cut by 78%. We say that we are the safest large city in America, and we certainly are when our citywide crime rate is compared to the other biggest cities in the country. However, there are still stubborn pockets of crime, and especially violent crime in New York. For example, the violent crime rate here in the 19th precinct is 1/8 the rate in the 25 precinct just 50 blocks uptown. In fact, in 2018, there were 6 precincts with violent crime rates more than twice as high as the rest of the city. The 4-0 precinct in the Bronx had the highest overall rate, including the 2nd highest robbery rate and the 3rd highest assault rate. The 7-3 precinct in Brooklyn had the 3rd highest rate, including the 2nd highest murder rate and the highest shooting rate. Other precincts, the 4-1 and the 4-2 in the Bronx, the 7-5 in Brooklyn, and the 2-5 in Manhattan, together lead the city in violence. Let me be clear. Even these 6 precincts have seen huge drops in violent crimes since the early 1990s. But we will never be satisfied with that. We can always do better, and we must do better. The NYPD and our entire city have a moral obligation to these precincts, because everyone who lives and works in New York City deserves to live in safety, free of fear. And now our achievements give us reason to make the following declaration. We won't rest until every block in every neighborhood enjoys the same level of safety and well-being as the rest of the city. Your zip code must never be the primary determination of your safety. And it's our pledge to ensure that your neighborhood is safe, regardless of where in New York City you call home. This is our job, and we owe it to every single New Yorker. But this job can only be accomplished in partnership with the rest of the city. inside and outside of government. The more than 4-decade partnership between the NYPD and the New York City Police Foundation is an example of all the partnerships we must now bring to full fruition. For instance, we're now beta testing a new smartphone application funded by the Police Foundation that supports our cops and serving as a kind of nexus for neighborhoods and other city agencies as we grapple together with the problems that afflict our higher crime communities. In February, we're piloting a new neighborhood policing app. Will allow NCOs and steady sector cops to track, right on their department-issued cell phones, various crimes and conditions, ranging from robberies to disorder, as directly reported by residents. Each quality-of-life concern will contain a brief description, a location, and a due date, ensuring that all complaints are handled effectively and in a timely manner. It will enable our cops to collaborate effectively with community members, affording our officers the opportunity to be problem solvers. Further, there are initiatives all across the city working to keep young people on the right track. And the 7-3 precinct is showing some very positive signs in this respect. Enterprising cops built the Brownsville Cornerstone Basketball League, which brings together youth from different housing developments. The officers augmented the basketball games with classes in emotional intelligence, de-escalation, and conflict resolution to help kids control anger, resist bullying and peer pressure, and stay away from crime. These same Brownsville cops and kids have another innovation, now being supported by the Police Foundation. We showcased it yesterday at a press conference with Chief of Patrol Rodney Harrison. It teaches emotional intelligence through the use of virtual reality technology. Young people are working with police officers to craft virtual reality scenarios, writing and acting together, that realistically explore the relationships between cops and kids on the street. Cops and kids are learning from each other. They're building trust and strengthening these all-important relationships. At the end of the day, it's old-fashioned communication, greatly enhanced by cutting-edge technology. And with the Foundation's help, it's expanding to 20 precincts throughout the 5 boroughs in the very near future. I want to recognize the cops I've just been talking about and some of the kids who are benefiting from these fresh ideas. Captain Joe Griffith, Detective Jason Anazagasti, I think I got that right, police officers Jaren Zhang and Joseph Galata, along with the kids, Jacob Martinez, Brian Skerritt, D'Angelo Isaac, John Negron, and Hassan Schweit. Please, all of you, stand up and be recognized. Thanks for everything each of you do to make New York City even safer. Each of these examples represent what is possible with neighborhood policing. These partnerships are generating the creative and innovative solutions that will bring down crime in these communities. Brownsville can and should be just as safe as Brooklyn Heights. Crime can and should be as low in the South Bronx as it is in Tribeca. We get there when we all come together, talk frankly, and recommit ourselves to this mission. There will be no sacred cows or side agendas, just the urgent mission for everyone in these communities and all of our city to come together as one to ensure that every square block of New York City is free from both the threat and the fear of crime. How we get there is the next evolution of policing in New York. That means continuing to fight in partnership for every block and every neighborhood every day. And the question is, what can we all do together to advance this noble effort? New York needs everybody in this room and beyond, throughout the 5 boroughs, to share the responsibility for public safety. Crime, fear, and disorder are not only police problems. New York needs all of our ideas and of all of our actions now. And it goes for the entire public safety spectrum, from traditional crime to terrorism, to the seedbed activities that can draw the young into lives of crime. For this reason, I will soon be convening action meetings in each of these 6 precincts, where violence is double the citywide average. This will include various elected officials and heads of our partner agencies at the city, state, and federal level, plus business owners, clergy, service providers, and community leaders. The people on the ground who are the backbone of this important work. And I'll be meeting with the cops in all of these commands to ask them what they think their police department can do better and how best we can develop new solutions and get them whatever help they feel they need. Out of these meetings will come change. Change in how we police, how we partner with our sister city agencies, how we partner with neighborhood residents, how we partner with all of you, the business and civic leaders of our city. As you know, our city will always face challenges, challenges that test our crime-fighting strategies at the most local of levels, and challenges that test our intelligence gathering and preparedness at a citywide and even a global scale. And that important work continues around the clock, every day of the year with our analysts, our cops, and our many partners on the FBI NYPD Joint Terrorist Task Force. The NYPD's Critical Response Command works 24/7, protecting sites and infrastructure around the city. Cops in our Strategic Response Group are at the ready to rapidly respond to any emerging threat, be it an active shooter situation or other terror incident. Along with our elite Emergency Service Unit, they're all informed by our first-rate Intelligence Bureau, which continues to be the industry leader in detecting, deciphering, and responding to an always fluid threat stream. Supporting these efforts in a way that is unique to the NYPD, unlike any other police department in the world, is our International Liaison Program, funded by the Police Foundation. This initiative has allowed the NYPD to embed seasoned investigators with law enforcement agencies in more than a dozen cities across the globe. This enables the NYPD to react to situations that are unfolding in real time and to catch bad guys anywhere in the world. How'd you get here so fast? Those were James Curry's first words when NYPD Sergeant Edward Lee walked into a room to interview him at a Bangkok airport in August. Stationed in Singapore, Sergeant Lee is part of a counterterrorism and intelligence network that proved critical to Mr. Curry's capture when he fled New York City a day after his infant son was discovered floating lifeless in the East River. As I said earlier, this is a new era. We know, for example, that the legalization of marijuana is coming. And we need to determine how and when laws about use and possession are enforced. There are issues surrounding home cultivation, driving while impaired, because there's currently no instant test for marijuana levels in the human body. I also have great concerns about people under 21 years of age smoking marijuana. We're also facing pushback from some quarters about the definition of who constitutes a threat to public safety when it comes to fare evasion in our subways. One thing is certain: we must always control access to the transit system. To abandon our efforts there would be both irresponsible and highly dangerous. Marijuana and fare evasions are just two examples of the changing playing field. 2019 presents an entirely new possibility. It is now possible to think about how we can equip and enable our cops to help kids avoid a first act of criminal behavior. And we will prove that when the public and the police work together, we can make positive, lasting change in our society. That change begins when people are safe, and it's sustained when people feel safe. Our aim is to keep raising the bar for fair and effective policing in this country year after year, again and again. And we're doing it with the help of New Yorkers in every neighborhood and with the Police Foundation's support at every turn. I commend you for your investment in public safety, the many innovations you have funded, and your commitment to the NYPD's core mission. And I ask you to continue to think of ways that together we can make every single part of this city as safe as our safest streets are today. A new city, new policing, New York policing. Thank you for your time and attention this morning, and at this point I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.
We're going to reintroduce Mr. Tisch to come up, and we have James Andrews right there in the middle of the room walking around with a microphone. So please raise your hand, and James will get over to you and speak directly into the mic so we can hear it up on the stage. James, to your left, I see the first question.
Good morning. There's been a lot of talk about the community policing. How do you know that program is successful?
So there's a couple different ways. The first way that I know that it's successful, that crime continues to go down. And I think that no one in New York City has an expectation that at this point crime will go up. There's some other metrics that we're looking at. You know, I go out to all the communities in New York City. I'm getting real positive feedback from community members. I'm getting great feedback from our police officers, and as I said, crime continues to go down. We just entered into a contract with Rand Corporation. We're going to do an official research to make sure that we're moving in the right direction here. So it's, you know, you can tell just by the spirit of New York, and if you come to community meetings anywhere in the 5 boroughs, you'll see that it has a real positive impact. You got a mic coming your way in a second.
I can do that.
Yeah, but then they can't hear you in the back. And I can almost see you with the lights. Hold on.
Hi, it's Kathy Wild. Commissioner, a few years ago, a big part of this presentation was the concentration of crime in NYCHA. Has that changed?
No, it hasn't. As a matter of fact, we have neighborhood policing now in all of our police service areas. That's the police department, the part of the police department that covers the housing developments. It's still a focus for us, not just on patrol, but from the detective bureau level too, and in working with our partners in the prosecutors, the 5 local prosecutors, the special narcotics prosecutor, and the Eastern and the Southern District. So it's still a focus for us.
Hi, Commissioner. Jason Klein.
Hi, Jason.
First, thank you so much for sticking with this job for so long. I hope you stick with it for quite a while. You're a credit to the people in New York and to the department. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
My question is about counterterrorism and what kinds of new things you think the NYPD needs to do in the coming years as this threat continues to increase, and also recognizing that the city has tended to take its own leadership on some of these key issues in defending itself, like with counterterrorism. The feds certainly do a lot, but the decision was made quite a while ago that the city had to set up its own defenses and overseas officers and deputy commissioners around counterterrorism. And cybersecurity is also a particular threat to the NYPD, the city government, and important institutions in the city. And so where do you think the NYPD is going with cybersecurity?
Let me just talk about counterterrorism in general. So obviously, Commissioner Kelly did a great thing back in 2001, standing up counterterrorism and increasing the assets into the Intelligence Bureau. You know, we're lucky enough that John Miller stayed on after Commissioner Bratton, and he's got 2 great chiefs, Jimmy Waters and Tom Galati. This is, I guess, Commissioner Bratton spoke about this. I know Commissioner Kelly spoke about this, about how much time terrorism actually occupies in our day. You know, the threat is real, absolutely. And I think, you know, in the beginning, in 2001, from, I don't know to what point, maybe we did have the lead, but it is absolutely a true partnership now. And I wish Bill was here so I could thank him in person and the other over 40+ agencies that are in our Joint Terrorist Task Force. And we have the NYPD in our Intelligence Bureau. We have a cybersecurity unit that I get briefed on periodically. Those threats are real too. So this is something that's going to continue to become more and more of a focus in the NYPD as the years go on. But I think the Police Foundation's support with the International Liaison Program, I just have to speak about that once again. You know, anything that happens overseas, and we have to be concerned about everything that happens in the world, not just what happens in New York City. We get that information back in real time. And you don't know how important that is. You know, it's come to the point now where John Miller doesn't even have to call me anymore. Jimmy Waters doesn't have to call me. I know it's being done. And it's so important to have the men and women of the Critical Response Command, SRG, and of course our brave men and women in ESU. So thanks for that question, Jason. It's going to continue to become more and more of a focus for the NYPD. I think we have somebody in the back. It's a long run back there.
No, right here.
Okay.
Karen Dennis, President for the Police Community Council for the PSA 9. Speaking in relation to the comment she made about NYCHA. One of the things that we wanted to look at as far as our council and what we do to work with police community engagement is better communication. A lot of the residents that live in public housing, although a lot of us have technology that we can use, some of them don't. Some of them don't have outlets of communication. One of the suggestions that we wanted to see if we could use some of the Cure Violence money to open up more lines of communication, like putting maybe digital displays in front of the precincts so that information can be broadcast, and as people walk by that don't have access to a computer or know how to use a computer can get the information, because they're not really coming out into the community and reporting some of the things that they're going to. We feel like there are solid victims out there that don't have access to the information because they don't engage. So is there a possibility to use some of that Cure Violence money and to open up some more communication lines, especially around the developments of public housing?
Yeah, just to talk about Cure Violence for a second, and the work that they do each and every day to help us continue to drive violence down in New York City. I met a few of them the other night. I had an event with Erica Ford. She runs Life Camp out in Queens. Just terrific people doing a terrific job. I don't know if we have to know. Not sure if we have to go to Cure Violence for that money. Let's have a conversation, you, Chief Secreto, and figure if we can come up with some other way to do that. That's an important point. Thanks for bringing that up. Thank you. I think we got somebody in the back.
Good morning, Commissioner. My name is Jairo Guzman. I'm from the Mexican Coalition, and these are great achievements, certainly a testament to the extraordinary police department that you lead. I like your community initiatives with regard to making sure that the police department is a reflection of the community they're serving. What are you doing to encourage or get more police officers to be a reflection of the Mexican community? I understand there's less than 100 police officers in your force that are of Mexican descent. And when we're talking that the Mexican community is the third largest in the city, for us to have 100 police officers to be a reflection of our community, leaves space for us to wonder what are some of the efforts that you will be making to include or work to get more police officers to look like me.
Yeah, I think that's something that has to be done person to person. I know Nilda Hoffman, our Chief of Community Affairs, is doing a tremendous amount of outreach. That's something and so whenever I speak, I always say there's a lot of things the NYPD does well. There's two things that I don't think that we do well, and that's talk about our disciplinary system and talk about the diversity of this great police department now. We are a majority-minority police department. I'm not sure if many people realize that, and we'll definitely partner with you to make sure that we increase the number of Mexicans in the New York City Police Department, because it's, we talk about building trust all the time. And how do you build trust? You build trust. One of the ways is to make sure that you have a police department that reflects the great diversity of this great city. So thank you.
I think.
Is that it?
That's it. I'm tossing you off the rostrum.
All right, no problem.
Commissioner, thank you very much. Just a couple of housekeeping details. Number one, the gala is April 30th, and we hope that you will all be in attendance. It's a great fundraising vehicle for the Police Foundation. Number two, the Commissioner showed you pictures of the virtual reality project that was started in the precincts. If you want to try one, there are a couple set up outside in the lobby there. So put a mask on, a virtual reality mask, and give it a try. You'll see the amazing things that can be done with the community working with the police to come up with scenarios and ways to reduce crime by working together. And number three, there's a fabulous new book that's been produced by the police department of photographs that is available for you if you want to purchase it out in the lobby also. And with that, we look forward to hearing even greater things in the state of the police address next year, Commissioner. And thank you very much, and thank you to the NYPD again for the work that you do every day to make us feel safe and comfortable and loving every minute that we have in New York City. So thank you all very much for being here, and have a good day.